Hello, this is Marsha McLean, your professional sister. I am here today. I am so excited. We are preparing for a conversation with educators as well as a nurse practitioner. I want you to get excited about tuning in to listen to them. We're going to be talking about going back to school in a pandemic. So please like, share, and have some comments. If you have any questions for these women, please let us know in the chats, okay? So I'm going to bring them on and have them introduce themselves, okay? Again, my name is Marsha McLean, your professional sister right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I want to just bring you topics that I feel like are helpful to assist you with certain things. And I think the school issue is a big one, okay? So I'm going to bring my ladies on and we're going to have this discussion today, okay? Please, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. I am asking you, though, please like and share. And if you don't want to like for yourself, like for somebody else because of Facebook and the algorithms. They make it so hard to get information out. And if you don't want to share in your live, share through your messenger. How about that? Help a Black business. Help a small business. I don't like saying small business, though. Help a business, okay? I am doing this absolutely for free. And all I'm asking is that you just please like and share. I appreciate you. So let's get into this conversation. I'm going to add my guests on, okay? All right, I'm adding to the comment. I'm adding my guest in. And we are going to start with Coretta. If you could please tell us where you're from and what you do for a living.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Coretta Collins. I am a family nurse practitioner in Birmingham, Alabama. I currently serve cancer and blood disease patients. I also have a blog called Confessions of a Nurse Practitioner, where I write about different topics that promote health, provide education, and share insight. You can visit the website, www.ccthenp.com. Thank you for having me today.
All right, that was nice. All right, the next one to go is Eboni. Eboni, can you tell people about yourself and where you're located? Your school is located. What community you serve, if you feel comfortable?
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eboni Patterson. I'm currently a kindergarten teacher, and I teach for a school district in, I'm going to say it's between Harnett and Cumberland County. Okay. So it's just somewhere between there. I want to put all my business out there.
I understand that.
I am a certified K through 6 teacher, although I currently teach kindergarten. I'm a mother and I am a wife, and I like to talk about interesting topics.
All right, well, this is going to be an interesting one today, okay? All right,
Absolutely.
Who's next? ABC, is it Linda? It's Linda Young. You are next. Please tell the people who you are. Okay.
Marsha, I love you. I do. Hello, everyone. I'm Linda Young. I am a life skills instructor with a nonprofit organization here in Birmingham, Alabama. And I have been with this organization off and on for, I guess, about 10 years or so. And my specialty is parenting skills. So I teach parents how to, how to hone their skills in parenting, pretty much. What we need to do, how we need to encourage those babies.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, Nicole. All right. Come on now. Bring it
Last but not least, I'm Nicole Melendez. I am an educator in North Carolina. Eboni and I are friends. I love her dearly. Thank you for inviting me. I actually have certification in K-12 administration. I have a psychology and mental health background. I've been recently going live, and so now I'm thinking about beginning webinars on parenting. So I'm glad that I'm here with Linda because now I've made a connection with a possible resource. So Eboni and I like to have good discussion, and I'm excited about being here today because I think this topic is extremely important.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that introduction. I am so excited about this topic. I got a lot of emails the last couple of weeks. So what I do is people send me emails about things they would like for me to discuss. and I try my best to keep it centered around mental health. And this topic of going back to school in the pandemic is causing not only children, parents, caretakers, a lot of stress and anxiety. And I wanted to see what you all were thinking, or what are some ways that we could kind of prepare the family. I would like Coretta to go first. And I just want her to talk about some of the things to kind of prepare. What are some things that you are seeing as a nurse practitioner and ways to kind of assist and prepare not only the children, but the parents or caretakers?
So some of the things that I've been seeing, they kind of boils down to what the parent has decided for their children. They're going to do just the virtual platform, or if they're going to do traditional. And with some of the traditional platforms, there's, the blended approach where the kids go to school for, say, Monday and Tuesday and don't go on Wednesday, and another group of kids go Thursday and Friday. So it just kind of depends on the approach that the family has to meet their needs. So the main thing that I've been stressing is, because the big thing has been safety. What's the safest thing to do? So we all know, being in the pandemic, if we're strictly looking at what's the safest, then we all know virtual is the safest. But we also know that may not be the most realistic option for people. Parents have different jobs. It's hard to homeschool, basically, or be in charge of their virtual education as well as work those jobs. So you want to do what you can to help your child transition back to school as safe as possible during the pandemic. So I have a couple different tips that I've been sharing with parents, and it basically just kind of includes some things that you're already doing. Like, you want to make sure you have your hand sanitizers, hand available. You want to make sure your children have masks, and you want to do mask training with them, because kids, especially if they haven't been out much, they're not used to wearing them, and they're not going to like to wear them. So what I started doing with my children is basically we have a mask. You want to make sure it fits properly, and you want to just gradually increase the amount of time that they're wearing that mask over the course of the day. So you may start with 5 minutes, then go 10 minutes, at a time. And you want to try to keep them from touching it as well. So little things like that, because of course that's a big thing in the grand scheme, but if you don't want them to feel like this is an abrupt thing, you want to give them an opportunity to get used to it. And mask training is a way to do it, and to help them feel more comfortable. And you want to make sure you're teaching your children. So I try to make sure I'm explaining what the coronavirus is and why it's important that we do these things. You want to break it down to them as simple as you can, depending upon the age of your children, but they can get it even in, in a way that they understand, that will help them be as safe as they can. So that's just a couple of tidbits. There's, more that we can get into if you want.
I appreciate it. Thank you. So hearing that, I never heard of mask training. I really like that. I think somebody need to train me sometimes, because I just be goofing up and it slides right down. I think my nose is creasing and it slides right here. And
you got to make sure you get one that fits. That's the big thing. You want one that fits properly.
So yes, I have a problem. But you three educators, I just want to ask you all, what are your thoughts on going back to school? I want you, now I understand you have to kind of, be careful with what you say, but I want you to be honest with the audience, because they really need some guidance. Unfortunately, sometimes I don't think we're getting it from the government. I think they're doing the best that they can in some respects, but in some respects, I just think it's get them in there. We need this to be doing this, this, and that. And they're not thinking about the overall picture. So who would like to go first in that discussion? Eboni, you seem intense. Let me start with you.
Well, okay then. I'm going to say that I've been asked that question a lot lately as well. And what I've been telling people is that, to me, there is no right or wrong answer. Whatever you're most comfortable with is it. I have 2 school age kids. I mean, I have 3 kids and my oldest one's college, but all of his classes have been shifted to online. So he's fine. He's going to be home. My soon to be, or my upcoming 7th grader and 9th grader, we have opted to do the virtual environment for the kids to be at home. They're not going to school to do the blended thing because, for one, my 9th grader, he is not going to wear a mask. He's like, I can barely breathe when we go to the grocery store for a few minutes. I'm not wearing a mask all day at anybody's building. I can breathe freely at home. So he's going to be home. My daughter, who's going to be 7th grader this year, she at first wanted to do the blended, but then she said, well, you know, I keep hearing about people going places and they're catching it, so I think I'm going to be at home too. I mean, and ultimately, I didn't let them make the decision. I had already told my husband that I think I want them both to do virtual home environment. But then I wanted to hear their input and what they thought, just so I could, you know, they're older kids, they're not little, you know, and my daughter, she was very adamant about doing the blended, particularly because she's very social. And I said, you understand that going to school now is going to be different. You won't be allowed to be social like you have been. There's not going to be any hugging and gathering up in groups with your friends and laughing and hee and ha. It's not going to be that way. I said, this is something completely different. She said, yeah, but what about my teachers? I can meet my teachers and be there with them in person because I think I'm going to get more. I said, but I think the virtual academy is going to pose to you something different than what we had in the spring. The spring, we did the best that we could, you know, to get out of school on such a short notice. And then the teachers have to come up with something because they weren't used to that. The virtual academy is going to be different. It's a little bit more, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say organized, if you will. And I think that even the blended will be more organized than what it was in the spring. So I just feel like parents need to make the best decision for them. I can't honestly say that I don't have any fears about it. But I can honestly say that my kids are older and they could be at home, and whether they're going to get up and be on time for getting their studies and stuff or not, it's not going to be here nor there for me, because my husband has been working from home since March. So he's going to be here and he can oversee whether I'm there or not. So whatever choices the parents have to make, and I know that they all feel differently about things, I understand, but you have to make a decision that's in the best interest of you and your family.
So I have a question. We have a question from Vicky. She's saying, do any of you, how do you all feel about going to a face-to-face environment? That's a pretty good question. Who wants to take that? Nicole, thank you.
I will take that one because that's what my lives have actually been about the past couple weeks. I am an educator, and like Ebony said, I am not gung-ho about going in face-to-face. However, this is our bread and butter. This is our paycheck. So what do? You know, Ebony hit the nail on the head when she said that you have to make a decision based on what you feel good with in your family, in your household, and what works for you, without discrediting how your kids feel. If your kids are able to communicate, then they're able to express how they feel, and it should be considered. Now, considered does not mean that the decision is made by your child. You also have to be reasonable, and you're the adult, and you have to make the best decision. Now, as educators, there are many educators out here, and I've had this conversation for the past couple of weeks, that feel forced to have to go into work. So our district offered an opportunity for teachers to apply to be a part of a separate virtual academy. And because I want to be home, this is me, Nicole Melendez, I'm not choosing for anyone else. I want to be at home safe, and I want my son to be at home safe. I applied for the virtual academy and I was accepted. So I will be teaching through the virtual academy, because I don't, honestly, to answer your question, Ms. McLean, I don't think there is a way to ensure that teachers will stay safe. There is some form of liability when you walk into that building. We want to go back to life as normal. Our kids, we're trying to force our kids to believe that the world is quote unquote normal. Well, we're not normal. Right now, the pandemic is still ravaging the United States, and we cannot pretend that it does not exist. And there is some form of liability if you enter a school building or if you send your child into a school building. There is no guarantee. There's no way to say to a teacher that I can ensure that you're safe. Now, Corinne did speak of precautions. We can take precautions. We can limit the possibility that maybe less people will be infected and affected. But the one thing that we keep forgetting is that students have been separated from each other since March of this year. And Coretta is the medical professional, so she could speak best on this. But people keep saying that kids can't get the virus. Well, we have not had our kids together in large groups since March. So we don't know what this virus can do to kids. We don't know how they can carry it. We don't know how kids can affect or come home and affect their parents or grandparents. So for me, Ms. McLean, I don't know if there is a direct or a black and white answer to your question. All I would say is that you just have to follow the medical procedures and try your very best to keep yourself safe, because we have to ensure that we get income. We have to be able to work. We have to ensure that we don't lose our jobs. You know, a lot of our lives are tied to our paychecks. And so the pressure is on. I kind of feel slightly, I'm gonna say slightly guilty to know that my friends are going into a building in an unsafe situation and I'm sitting at home. But we know that people have been affected that are sitting at home. I have an assistant principal who's a friend of mine in Philadelphia who was home since March, and she was just infected with the coronavirus. She went through the coronavirus for 7 weeks and she does not know how she contracted it. So for me, it's like, you know, and this is the last thing I'm going to say. I posted to this question. I posted an analogy on my Facebook page last week of us all entering a building knowing that there is a lion asleep in the cafeteria. And lions are cute when they're asleep, but when they wake up, they tear stuff up. So for me, it's like walking into a building knowing there's a lion asleep, and that when he wakes up, he's going to start chasing people down. And I don't want to be caught. I don't want any of my friends to be caught. I don't want any of my students to be caught. And it scares me. And I'm a Christian and I believe in God the Father. And I believe, you know, that this too shall pass. But I also believe that we were given common sense and our own will to make sound decisions. So I'll leave it at that. And hopefully, Ms. McLean, I did answer your question.
So thank you. So it's just Marsha. I appreciate that. That was some good information. Is that me doing that back? And I'm sorry.
Yes.
So Londa.
Yes.
I have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question for you. So
Yes.
what do you say about, you know, kids, smaller kids going back into the classroom? And it was a question up here in the chat. Let me find it. Where it said, someone said, how do you teach the younger children that are used to hugging and sharing with each other that they can no longer do that? And I think Nicole hit on that. What do you think about that?
I would say I definitely, I'm agreeing with Nicole. I have, while I don't have younger children anymore, my children are older. I would definitely have to agree with her on that. It's hard to teach them that. You can try to make a game out of it. You can, reinforce the rules. Tell them what the new rules are as they come to, because every child is used to having new rules in the classroom as they start a new school year. And you try to teach them the new school rules, but I mean, that's so hard because we teach them to love and, to want to be sweet to one another.
You can start it at home.
So that would be kind of hard for me. I'm sorry.
Coretta, did you say something?
Yeah, I was just going to add that because I have younger kids.
Coretta, were you speaking?
Yeah, so I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So I can speak to that younger population a little bit. I was just saying that you can actually start teaching them that at home. So like I've already been trying, and it's not going to be perfect. We all have to recognize that as well. But I've already been trying to talk to them about how school is going to be different, how things have changed, and how they need to maintain their distance and how they can't share, and what's yours is yours, just trying to reinforce that, to prepare them as well as we can at home before they get to school, and then that will help the teacher.
Okay, that makes sense. I like what you all are saying. And I like what Nicole said, and I want some more information about it. I understand that we have, you have to do what you have to do for the paycheck, because you do need that. But do you think the school districts are listening when they're saying, when you as a teacher or educator you're saying, I'm scared, I'm nervous, I'm having panic attacks, or I'm afraid I'm gonna bring something home? Do you feel supported? Because I know sometimes it's like you don't have that support, and that's what I'm concerned about, because I'm not an educator. I'm in mental health, and I'm seeing the teachers who don't feel supported, having nervous breakdowns and saying, "Can you write me out of work because I can't do it?"
Well,
that's going to put harder.
Wow.
It's going to put harder information on. I'm sorry. It's going to be harder on the other teachers because that person is not there. Nicole?
Marcia, and the catch to that is too, even the option of getting doctors filling out forms was no guarantee that teachers still didn't have to go to work. I know a few of my coworkers who submitted documentation, medical documentation, that asked to be excused from working and could they stay home virtually. We're looking at I'm not going to get on a rant, but we already know educators have always felt like they were underappreciated, underpaid, disrespected, and without educators, none of us would truly exist. I've only been in the education field for 15 years. I was in mental health prior to this. I understand how important educators are. Educators have never felt supported. And in this time, people are saying, if a nurse can go in, why can't you go in? Because she's a nurse, because he's a nurse, because they decided to be medical, but they decided to be medical personnel. We are not medical personnel. And for people to expect us to function in a way that medical personnel or mental health professionals or, police officers, all these other professions is not fair. So teachers do not feel like their voices are being heard. They feel like they're being forced. All the memes that came out with all the funny homeschooling. I pray that at the end of all of this, parents have a different outlook on education, and they have garnered a level of respect for educators that we deserve, because it is not an easy task. It's not an easy job. And I think parents are seeing that for themselves. I'm also a parent, so I know Eboni and I are friends. We have these conversations. No, educators don't feel like they're being listened to and respected. And then here's the biggest problem. No one from higher up is making it a national decision. It is not fair that a teacher, and I don't use the word fair lightly because fair is not fair, but whatever. There is no reason why a teacher 20 minutes down the road should be able to stay home virtually and I have to go into a building. So what's happening is that the counties, the surrounding districts aren't even agreeing with one another. So it's like, Mom, can I have a piece of cake? Yeah, Billy, you can have a piece of cake, but Sarah can't have it. And it's not fair to teachers that they have to sit and watch their peers stay home and then they have to go into a building. So teachers don't feel like their voices are being heard.
So I'm going to put this up here. I'm sorry to cut you off, Eboni. I'm going to put this up here. I want y'all to read it, but I'm going to take it off real quick. I'm taking off real quick. Go ahead, Eboni.
On Facebook, when my friends go into that building and I'm sitting home, I'm telling you, I will be ranting. So join my rant.
I was going to say that no, teachers don't feel like they are being appreciated. I actually took my paperwork in, and it was just to certify if I indeed have the medical conditions that I have. And I left it at the doctor's office for them to fill out. And the lady called me back and said, he's not going to fill this out because he said he can't decide who needs to go back to work or not. I didn't ask you to decide if I need to go back to work. I asked you to certify if I have diabetes and if I have high blood pressure that I've had since I was 18 years old. That's what I asked you for. So needless to say, I'm going to be looking for a new medical, person for myself. But that to me shows that he didn't even have the respect enough to say that she does have this. And I'm the person that says, okay, if I have to go in the building, I'll go in the building. I don't have a problem with that. But I don't want all these little kids on me and clinging to me, because I don't know what they can carry or what I could carry and pass on to them or anything as to that respect. And I do have to say that when all of this first came about, like I said, I teach kindergarten. I started telling my kids no hugs. We started doing fist bumps. And one of my students cried because she hugged me every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And her mom looked at me as if like, oh my gosh, she's really not going to hug. No, I'm not. I sure am not. I love her to pieces. We better get that fist bump going on, because I don't know,
So let me ask you this. Do you think the school districts, are they going to have those N95 masks, or are they going to have the ones where you can still kind of see your mouth?
You know what? We work for a district that will give us, our district, because our district comes with lots of money. They will ensure that they provide all of the necessary equipment our teachers need to be safe. I'm sure of that. And I'm comfortable with the district I work for and with, but I'm thinking of my fellow educators who are in districts where they don't have the money to do those things. They won't have that. The teachers will have to provide their own mask. And 2 more things, Marcia, that I wanted to say, and then I'm hush. But Ebony and I had this conversation the other day about medical professionals not being on the fence about this. I submitted the same documentation to my medical doctor, and she gave me the same response that Ebony's doctor gave her. And I told her, you can't be on the fence with me on this one. This is my life. You either have to give me a yes or a no as to whether you think I can or cannot go into a building if I have these high risk factors. And I pressured her to give me a yes or a no, and I would not take a maybe, because I felt like you can't be on the fence. This is crunch time.
Well, Coretta, let me ask you this. Why do you think that doctors are doing that? And I'm going to just use myself. I'm not an educator. Now, this is the problem that I had. I wanted to go to the gym. Lord Jesus, I just wanted to go to the gym. And my doctor would not sign a paper saying I could go to the gym. She said, get a bike. I did get a bike. Get a bike. But it's raining a lot up here. It's a lot of different, weather issues. And she refused to sign my letter. It's like, I won't sign it. And she was like, I won't sign it. And you're like the second or third person who asked. And I said, well, can you tell me why you won't sign it? And she said, Marcia, it's dangerous. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say. But do you know if that's across the board where they are asking nurse practitioners and doctors to do that now? Or is it like their own opinion of biases coming into that? What do you think about that?
So it's a tough situation for healthcare providers, because you got to think about, there are tons of teachers. So if I were to give every single teacher an excuse and school is something that has to happen, then there would be nobody teaching. So what they're doing is they're having to, you're having to kind of, did you say good?
Good.
I'm a be her. Go ahead.
I mean, you got to have somebody teaching. Because what I've been reminding people of too, like parents, have been getting upset with the school system and whatnot. At the end of the day, this was not the school system's decision. Somebody alluded to earlier that, some of this stuff comes from the government. Well, so the government is doing whatever it is they're doing. So the point is, though, at the end of the day, these school systems are doing the best they can. They didn't make these choices to say everybody has to start school. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, so what healthcare providers are going to be most concerned with when you say, I have a pre-existing condition that would prevent me from going into a building, it would more than likely, the ones that are going to pop up on our radar the most would be if it's a respiratory pre-existing condition, such as a lung disease, asthma, you're prone to certain respiratory illnesses.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of
what. I'm sorry to cut you. What about what Ebony said about, I just need you to verify, you're my doctor, and I just need you to verify this. I'm not saying that I'm writing me out. I'm asking you to verify this because it's up to the district that I work in's condition. I mean, to determine if these pre-existing conditions may affect me.
So yeah,
What
it just
that?
depends on if it was clear. So it needs to be clear to whoever the provider is, because there's some ambiguity there, and certain systems are asking for different things, and certain patients are saying different things. So it needs to be really clear cut. So, you know, just as an example, I take care of cancer patients. Some of my patients are teachers. Some of them are receiving active treatment. So obviously I'm saying, no, you can't go back to work right now. You're already immunocompromised. You're receiving, you know, chemotherapy. That's going to be a hard stop. Whereas, you know, some have been out of treatment for 5 years or so. We're just kind of doing routine follow-up. So the situation is going to be different from them. Do you know, unless they have something else going on that would really just make them necessarily not need to be there, I can't in good conscience say you don't have to be there because you had breast cancer 5 years ago, if that makes sense. So you gotta, you know, try to understand where the healthcare provider is coming from, because, you know, these are our licenses too. And if something kind of comes back, you know, then people are looking at us crazy. But you got to think, you just want to make sure your paperwork says the right thing. And if you're asking for me to certify that you have high blood pressure or diabetes, then yes, that's one thing. But if you're asking me if your high blood pressure or your diabetes means you can't go to work, if you're asking me to say that, then that's not necessarily true. So I would say, you know, you just got to like be clear in what you're asking for so they know what they're signing.
Okay, great.
Can I just tell Ms. Coretta, I absolutely agree with everything that you just said. And I want to tell you that my paper did just say, do you certify that this patient has this and this? And it was just as simple as checking the box just to say that I had it. It didn't mention, do you think she need to go to work or be home or nothing, but he did not check my box.
So in that case, yes, I feel like, you know, you can say, because I have the records. I know, you know, I'm prescribing medicine that you have. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I want to get Linda in here. So Linda, what are you seeing as a educator and you're as a parent trainer? Because as a mental health professional, I know school was a safe haven for a lot of children coming from very chaotic homes, domestic violence, you know, just not home, unfortunately, was not safe. And now that's being taken away for no fault of their own. It just happens, you know. How do you kind of prepare and help parents with that? Or, you know, what kind of resources, you know, and, you know, ladies, if you have anything, you know, you like to add, please do. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, no problem at all. One of the things that I have noticed is that at our nonprofit organization, I have a number of our parents that are asking for counseling services. The organization in which I work provides the services for free to the community. And as I'm talking with my parents, sometimes I can feel that there's something a little bit more. If I'm in person, well, prior to COVID, I did my parenting classes in person. I am currently having to do them, on the telephone or, you know, by computer sometimes. And what I found is that a number of the parents are looking for anger management classes because they are frustrated by what's going on. And they're taking that frustration out on their children. They're taking it out on their families. They're looking for domestic violence courses, because those things are happening. A number of the parents that I'm getting are they are referred to us by our Department of Human Resources here in the state of Alabama. And so there are a number, you know, of things that we are seeing an increase on. I know when I'm having these conversations with parents, sometimes I'll just have that one-on-one conversation with them just to make sure that they're okay, to make sure that they're getting the help that they need. Hopefully putting them in a position where they can go and get the services that are necessary. But yeah, this is stressful for parents. It is. It's something that parents haven't done. I mean, you know, I can't imagine. My son is going to 12th grade. And so I can't imagine if I had a child that was in kindergarten at this point, you know, or even, elementary school age child where you're having to work and you're having to work from home and you're having to work and be the teacher also, you know. So that's just, my hat is off to those of you who have children that are young, take it off, because I'm like, I commend you. My oldest is in college, and I'm concerned about him going back to the campus, but I know that I can have a conversation with him and that he'll understand what, how to keep himself safe, versus a younger child who, definitely wouldn't have those type of skills just yet.
Okay.
And if I could add to, I just want to add, it is very stressful for the parents. So when we first started this whole staying at home doing the remote teaching thing, I was thinking to myself, parents, I know y'all are stressed out, because we're stressed out too, because we don't know, we are just thrown into this. We didn't know what to do and how to do it. So, we're working our way through it. So one of the things that I try to stress to the parents is that you don't need to be stressed. You just need to do the best you can by you and your kid. Make sure that whatever you're doing, like I said before, that is beneficial for you and your child. Because my daughter, she was 6th grade then, she was having breakdowns because, like I said, she's social. She need to see her friends. She need to touch somebody, she didn't want to touch us because she don't been touching us too long. She's like, I'm tired of y'all, but she slowly started having like little, I guess you want to call it Zoom meetings and Google Meet and house party hanging. I don't know, whatever, all the social media stuff that's going on out there, and just having some friends, so they can all look at each other. But she missed that, that social interaction. But again, it is not going to be the same going to school this year. So like I said, parents, don't stress, do your best, and make sure that you also reach out to people in your community, because in my little community, it's not very big. We're a close-knit little community here. My kids were able to go out and still have some interaction with some friends. The problem with my daughter is it's all boys, it's no girls. So she didn't want to do all them like that. But at least they could just go out and you can, speak and say hi and maybe get a quick game of something in outside and just enjoy some fresh air. But reach out to your neighbors and stuff to help you out. If you need a 5-minute break and you ain't been nowhere and stuff, I know it's iffy, but if you find somebody that you can trust, have them to come over and sit with your kids. Because as Miss Linda said, parents getting stressed out and be taking it out on them kids. Y'all better go outside for a few minutes or somebody will catch a case. I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say.
Linda.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying, I've definitely seen a rise on the number of parents that we have, contacting us regarding parenting classes. And most of the people that are sent us, like I said, are from our Department of Human Resources, and they are court ordered to come to us. And so this is not, they're just, they're not just choosing to say, hey, I think I might need to take a parenting class. It's like a requirement, and it's just so bad. It is, but it can be, so frustrating. Marcia, can I ask a quick question, if you don't mind?
For me? Of course, sure.
Okay, so what are your thoughts, Marcia?
On what?
About the sporting events and things. We're talking about school, but are we going to talk about like extracurricular activities? Because I don't think that people are putting a connection together.
I actually will, but is everybody on the panel good on time? I just don't want to mess up anybody's time. Everybody good?
I'm good.
I'm good.
You good? Okay, so I'm going to answer. So your children need to get off the couch, okay? We recognize that. Get them off the couch, stimulate their mind, their body, okay? Make it a priority to get them outside. Get on the bike with them, take a walk, try something different, make sure you wear your mask. However, some places are having football and doing basketball. And I want you to be prepared for that, because if you have older children, some of the decisions that you may feel is you don't want them to do, they may say, Mom, trust me, or I really need this right now. This is the only consistent that I have. And I need for you to have a good conversation with them. Don't just like, no, it's not going to happen. Because consider, this person has been isolated for 5 months. Yeah. They know what it's like to be isolated, sad. Like Michelle Obama said, low-grade depression. Hello, it's depression. So having this depression, they're saying, this is all that I have. Talk to the coaches. Ask them, what are you doing to protect the kids? What are you going to implement? So that you can kind of know and to educate your child, because things are still going on. There's still cheer camps. There were camps this summer. A lot of things are still going on, and parents are not taking this stuff seriously. And it saddens me when people say, "Oh, this is just a conspiracy theory." Let me make sure I do my mouth right. Conspiracy theory. You're not taking it serious. And if you don't take it serious, your children not gonna take it serious. They're not gonna wear a mask, and they're gonna bust you one day and say, "Well, my mom and daddy said it ain't serious," or the president said just drink some bleach or whatever he said, and everything will be all right. We don't bash Trump on here, but I got to give him a little nudge every now and again, okay? So he did say drink some bleach or something. And while we're on the subject of bleach, there is a shortage of bleach. There's a shortage of bleach.
I don't understand that.
There's a shortage. So, I mean, you want to send children back to school and we ain't even got no bleach. I mean,
Marsha, can I ask you a question on the topic that you're currently on? So while you're talking about kids getting social, how do you help your kids who have been in a COVID household socialize with kids who are not in a COVID household? Do you get what I'm saying? So there are kids, like you said,
been exposed to COVID. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is kids, the same kind of parents you talked about, the ones that are not taking it seriously, and then the ones who are kind of on the other extreme, who are serious about all the precautions and taking all the precautions. How do you have a conversation with your children about that? Like, Billy's mom is letting him go and do such and such. Well, what about me? What do you do about that?
That is really good. And this is what I'm gonna say to that. I'm gonna say, you know how you get in a timeout because you've done something bad. So-and-so may have done it and didn't get caught, but you got caught. And now these are the consequences. Something is going on. They're not taking this serious, and they may have a consequence down the road. We are trying to stay protected. Yes. And I can't help what that person is doing. I can only control what I'm doing and what's in my household. Right. And I say, I know it don't feel good. I'm right here with you. I know it don't feel good, and it's not fair sometimes. And it's okay to be mad about that. But I can't let you go out because somebody down the street is doing it, because they are choosing to take a risk that I'm not willing to take.
And you know what's, I get you completely. And you know what's the hardest part is having these conversations with other adults who are your friends.
Right.
Where they are people.
But you know what? Let me say this to you. And I say this lovingly. This is when you get to realize that some of your friends' values, and maybe it's time to disassociate just for a little bit, or put them back. Because if you hanging out and going on top, and I can go to your Facebook and see how you having parties and stuff. Right now, I don't need you in my circle because you're not safe. You're not taking things serious. I wear a mask, not because I like to. I wear it for other people. And that lets me know you don't care about me. You don't care about your community for whatever reason. So I'm going to put a little distance between me and you. So when you call like you want to come over, no, girl, let's just chat on the phone. That's just how I'm going to do it. And I hope you respect it. It doesn't mean that we're not friends, but at this time, I don't need you. Just like if I'm having a financial issue, I'm not going to go to a poor friend and ask guidance. I'm going to ask guidance from somebody who got some money. You get what I'm saying? Or if I'm having issues with my husband, I'm not going to go to the single friend. I'm always a single friend, y'all, but I'm not going to go to the single. I'm going to go to somebody that got a husband. You get what I'm saying? I know it's a good teacher. I should run around this table, but go ahead. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes, you answered the question that I had, because my concern is I have a son who is working toward getting a football scholarship. He's had a couple of offers so far, and so what they're trying to see, they want to see him play this fall. But for me, this is an issue for me because I'm looking at other parents who are not respecting the fact that we have a mask ordinance in place here in Alabama. And that's a concern to me, because if my son is quote unquote entertaining you, I think that you should have enough respect for my son and his team and the coaches to wear a mask to come to, the events and things that they have going on. Please keep my child safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was going to say, I'm glad you asked a question about sports too, because my Mason, like I said, he's an upcoming 9th grader, and this is the first summer in the last 5 or 6 years that we have been home because he plays travel basketball, and we're normally all over. We have not had a basketball practice. We have not had a basketball game. We paid for a camp he did not get to go to because of all this stuff. And so naturally, like I said, he can go get a little pickup game out in the front yard with a couple of friends that's out there that we know have been at home, all summer long, just like we have. But Mason has not even asked to go to a basketball practice. He's like, I hope that by the time basketball season for high school starts, that this is over and people have done what they're supposed to do because I'm ready to play ball.
Right.
If it's not over, I won't be playing this year. I mean, because he's that kid that's like, he don't like to take medicine. He don't swallow pills. He don't do any of that. So he is not doing anything that have to jeopardize and have him to even risk of having to take anything because he's like, I'm not having it. So, yeah, it's been stressful for him as much. But
you see how all this is kind of connected? Like the school, I think the school is the hub of like the community in certain sense,
Yes, it is.
The school and then the healthcare, then mental health and all these things. It's just amazing. How all this kind of comes together. And I don't think in our lifetime we've ever dealt with a pandemic or anything like this, not that have lasted 5 months and still don't know when it's going to end. Right. And I would encourage people, take care of yourself. Make sure you're not isolated. Make sure that you are doing some things that you enjoy so you don't feel stuck in the house and just going through the motions like, well, let me just get through this day. Find some things that you enjoy. I like a good rant myself, but don't stay right there. If you're realizing you're ranting all the time, come talk to me. I got some time. Come talk to me. Come on, let me help you out. And the reason I'm saying that is I don't want your rant to affect other people, because I want you to be a support to them when they come up to you and be like, Miss Ebony, Miss Nicole, Miss Linda, what do I do? You're going to have to be that one to encourage them, even though you may need a little encouragement yourself.
You're absolutely right. Marsha, you said one of the things that we that was brought up in the conversation with the parent was that I'm concerned about my child being behind. And so what I've been encouraging parents in the best way possible is that the whole world is behind. Let's be logical. There's no secret system somewhere where people are being educated at this fancy school and your kid is being left out. The entire world is on hold right now. And so I encourage parents just to understand that the learning is going to come. It may not be the way that we choose for it to come. We know in person is the most important. We know these kids need to be in a physical building and get education in person by professionals who are trained to teach. But we also have to accept that this is part of this pandemic, and eventually it will end. Everything that has a beginning has an ending. So eventually it will, but we just have to be realistic with ourselves and just encourage our kids and encourage one another that your kid's not being left behind. Your kid's they're not being forgotten, and that there is no one somewhere that is far more advanced than your child because you're keeping your child at home. Do you get that?
I do. I'm going to put a comment up here. I want you all to be nice. But I want to know what you say about it, because I'm going to say something and I want you all to continue, but let's be nice, even though you may agree with it, but as you can see, I don't. So, sweetie. I
went. Yeah. Okay. I see that one. That was the beginning of my rant, but I'm not there anymore because mental health has kicked in. I've already ranted. I've already ranted about this.
Okay, yeah, because
this is kind of what Nicole was saying.
Yeah, it's because when people say academics wasn't a wash, the reality is we received a phone call just like everybody else that said, stay home. The world is in crisis. That's as educators. They said, get your laptop. They even told us, get your laptop prepared because there may be a possibility that you may have to go home. We ran out of literally a burning building with just a laptop. So we have educators on very different levels of technology experience. So for some people, their child's teacher was awesome because they knew how to get in and out of all these different virtual programs. But then you have some people who did not have the technological ability to be able to impress, and I use the word impress lightly, to impress parents the way they wanted to be impressed. Everyone ran home in March and did the best that they could do. And so when I started these conversations, it was as a result of someone saying just this, that education was a wash. I don't consider education a wash. I consider the teachers rallied together and they did the very best they could do. They turned some horrible lemons into lemonade the best way they could do. But it's like anything. I'm sure you had some educators that went home and said, oh, good, I'm on break. I don't know what these kids doing. And that's not my problem. But I don't believe in my heart of all hearts that was most educators. Most educators were stressed out because they wanted you to feel like that they still cared about the education of your child. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
I think what she could be saying though is it was a wash in terms of what you were discussing earlier, right, Nicole. Like, I think that everybody is going to feel a certain level of, being behind, and that parents just need to give themselves grace, and teachers need to kind of give themselves grace. I think that could be the approach, what she meant in terms of saying it was a wash. Basically, like, we all kind of, it was what it was. You did the best you could do.
Yes.
Except that's how it was, and you're just going to try to move forward. All we can do is kind of build from here.
Right.
Okay. I want to add to that, and I agree with Coretta as it relates to the statement that she just made. For me personally, I found that it helped me to help my children academically. Because my children are older, I haven't been a part of their process, their learning process for a while, because they're on their own. And so it allowed me to stop it. And I just, just for a second, just say it allowed me to stop and just take a deep breath, look at what it is that they've learned, and help to get them back on the path where they need to be. So I wouldn't say that it was a wash. It was a blessing in my household. I hate that people got hurt. I hate that people lost their lives. I hate that people are sick. And I volunteer in a hospital, so I'm no longer, able to volunteer in a hospital. So I've seen, the process of people, being ill. But I'll just go back to say that I can speak as a parent of 2 sons, 17 and 20, that I am glad that I had the opportunity to look at what it is that they were experiencing academically and help to set them back on the right track where I needed them to be.
And I want to say something too, because like I said, teaching kindergarten on the computer, it was very challenging. I mean, especially to keep their attention. I think that yes, some parents might have felt like, oh, this is nothing. They're doing anything they can just to keep these kids on here for a few minutes, and then they're not doing the best job. But I have to say that most of the parents that I had were very supportive. And like I said, I gave them that motto: don't stress, do your best. And I also let them know that this is new for me. It's a learning experience for me. And so we're going to learn together, and we're going to try to figure this out together. Now, I will say that I think that during this time, it has brought an opportunity for parents to look at the way of raising your kids and how you're doing at home. Because the things that I'm telling you that I see in the classroom as far as your kids and their behaviors, now you're seeing that and experiencing it because they're home with you all day. And I had a parent who FaceTimed me. She was like, Miss Patterson, I can't get her to do any work. Tell me what you do to get her to do work in the classroom. First of all, I'm not you, because I don't play these kind of games in my classroom. That's the first thing. But what you do at home, you need to understand that your kids can academically flourish if you're going to support them and support them in the right manner. Don't let them sit over there and think that everything they're doing is cute. You got to school them and help to educate them to better behavior so that they can get their academics together. Because this one little girl, I promise y'all, her mama was like, we've been out of school 2 weeks. I can't deal with this. When are we going back? And we're still not back yet. So I know she was frustrated, but exactly. And that's what I want to say to some of these parents. You have to understand that teachers wear many hats, and I do wear the hat of a parent, but I'm not your child's parent. And what I would do for my kids, I can't do for your kids. I need you to step up, and you need to take some ownership in that and help your child to take some ownership in their behaviors and in their academics as well. Because my kids did. That's exactly what they did.
Send them to my
Maybe go get a parent, maybe get a refresher parenting class. I don't know.
I might need to get that so I can pass them on, Miss Linda.
Go take it to your grandma. Be like, Grandma, you got me right. Help me get this one right. Whatever. Take a village sometimes. But I am going to stop this, but I am going to ask, I'm going to put all these beautiful ladies on the spot. Can y'all come back and help a sister next week?
Next week?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not available next Sunday, but.
What? Well, whoever can and will, because I'm getting a lot of feedback on my email and stuff. So this was some really good information. And I know it's Sunday and I don't like to go past the hour. So just because it's Sunday and all that type of stuff. But this was some good information, very good. I thank you all for providing your insight, not only as a teacher, educator, as a nurse practitioner, but just as a human, because this is all new for all of us. And your thoughts may not be my thoughts, but I promise you, each and every one of you help somebody that's watching. So I want to thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to give each and every one of you your last thoughts. Last thoughts, I do ABC, so starting with Coretta.
So I just want to, emphasize the grace component. That's what I've been telling parents and, teachers as well. And also trying to help parents who are having to send their children back to school, help them have a better frame of mind and knowing that the school is going to be doing the best that they can for your child, so you do the best that you can. And hopefully those things together, will make the difference. And you want to encourage everybody to make sure you're doing the safety precautions. Like, you can't really make excuses for things happening if you're not putting forth your best effort to be as safe as you can be. Yes, the masks are aggravating, but they help. We know they help. So wear it, whatever it is you need to be doing, you want to try to do those things. Otherwise, you really can't complain as much. So it's just, if everybody can work together, put your best efforts forward and give yourself some grace. Those are the main things.
I like it. All right. So C, we're going to jump to E.
So I agree with Miss Coretta. Please give yourself some grace, and please extend the same grace to your teachers, to your school staff, to everybody who is involved in your life and your child's life. Go forth, do great things, and just don't stress. Do your best, because that's all that any of us can do right now, is do the best that we possibly can and make wise decisions that are the best decisions for ourselves, our lives, our family, our loved ones, and don't think about what everybody else is doing.
All right. I like that. All right now. So we're going to go to L.
All right. I'm going to pick up where Ebony left off. I like that. Don't stress, do your best. I'll have to definitely use that. We as parents are our children's first educators.
Yes.
We must communicate with them importance of keeping themselves safe, whatever it is that we have to share with them, be it mask training or talking with them in regards to germs, whatever level. We're going to meet them wherever level they are. And so I just believe that we as parents, we just definitely have to keep our children encouraged. And if we keep them encouraged, they'll understand, we can help them to understand the importance of keeping themselves safe during this pandemic.
All right, thank you. All right, Nicole, I do love you. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. All right.
That's all I'm getting. Okay.
Time.
Good.
30 seconds.
I'm long-winded, Marsha. So the one thing, to piggyback off of what Ebony said, as far as giving our teachers and our students grace, the only thing that I'm going to suggest is just to ensure that you are talking to your kids all the time. The one thing in this whole link that we're missing is the education systems. Kids had awesome relationships with their teachers. Teachers were in tune with your children. And I think now is very vital to make sure that you are replacing that role of the teacher in the house, and that you are always aware of how your child is feeling and you're listening. And that's all I can suggest. Speak with your children every day. Don't discredit what they're feeling, and just walk them through this process, because it's challenging.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. You all got a lot of great information today, a lot of insight. Please like and share. And I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. I don't have anything else to add other than I pray that day is enjoyable to you, and may the very best belong to you. Ladies, if you will stay on, hold on just a second. You all take care now.